we're going to talk about some new interfaces, and I wanted to show you something. This is a mouse, and this is something that you and I are all very used to holding, touching, using. We're used to entering our information with a mouse and a keyboard, but kids instinctively want to touch. They want to feel, they want to experiment, and they're not afraid to move things around and play with them. And that's why we always say that kids were born knowing how to use a computer, because they're just not afraid to reach out and try. And that's one of the reasons why the iPhone was so groundbreaking, because we were able to interact with it. We were able to move our pictures and resize them and scroll them and pinch them and move text around. And even when the Droid came along, some of the reviewers said, hey, this is great. It's touch-enabled, but it's not multi-touch. You can't squeeze. You can't move. So it was interesting here last night walking around CES at the press event, seeing all of the new latest touchscreen computers. HP has some amazing touch-enabled tablets, and all of the new things coming out are touch. So it looks like our little mouse may be going aside. All of this, though, isn't about information. It's about communication. And I review a lot of products for kids, and I notice these days I hardly ever see a kid's toy or a game that uses just a traditional interface. And that's because that's just not how kids communicate. They talk, they're spoken to. We want to connect with each other. And actually, over the holidays, I gave somebody one of these LeapFrog My Scouts before I knew. And as I was programming it to say the toddler's name, I realized how incredible it was that this toy was going to teach this kid by singing to it, by talking and by reading and by interacting, and not just the traditional this is A, this is B, and rote memorization. And so it's amazing that we have all of this innovation here today to teach the way kids really were born to be taught. And we have 3 companies here with us today who can share their vision of kids play beyond the keyboard and this cute little pink mouse that I have. One of those companies is LeapFrog, and we have Dr. Jim Gray, their Director of Learning, and Jim oversees curriculum, learning design of products for LeapFrog, and this cute little scout. And when I think of toys, it never really occurred to me that there might be a guy with a doctorate from the Harvard Graduate School of Education helping to decide how to make a toy. But really, making a toy is making the right learning experience for a child. And Jim, you mentioned to me a best of both worlds approach to interface design as a way to engage kids with this high quality educational content. Can you explain what that is?
I can. In fact, shall I go through the few points?
Please do.
Okay. So we'll get to the discussion, but I just want to make a few points about interface design and show you a couple of examples of LeapFrog products to make a larger point. And the larger point is there is depth to interface. Some interfaces are very superficial. They might be very cool and very new, and that's good. And we at LeapFrog are very excited about new technologies that are coming up. You should also think about what's fundamental to kids, what's age appropriate, and according to the folks who talked earlier, those larger issues of are you helping a child come in contact with what's important to her parents, to the society and the larger culture, so that they'll be an active participant. And in some small way, any interface, especially for young children, can do that. So as a developmental psychologist, here's one of the ways I think about interface. What's the original interface? A mother and a child, a father and a child, literally face-to-face. So think of interface as what's between the child and access to knowledge in the world. And then when you think about designing a toy, you can think about, again, what is basic and what is traditional in some ways, what's established and tried and true. And then we think at LeapFrog about then how to take advantage of all of that, but then add a level of interactivity that adds something new. So here's Scout. Scout is soft. Any developmental psychologist will tell you kids can fall in love with a blanket, and that's a good thing, so it's soft. It's got a face with big eyes, and it takes advantage of parasocial relations, people would talk about. So even if you don't turn it on, it's a wonderful toy, and I'm sure sometimes people use it that way. But then we also will turn it on, and I have to see Scout didn't get mic'd. I will show you that this Scout was personalized for little Jim. That's me. And
Jim.
Could you hear that? So it said, "Hi, Jim," because when you buy it to your child, you can program it with his or her name, favorite songs, favorite music, and a few other facts, so that the additional experience is that this as an interface is immediately intuitive and obvious and appealing to a 2-year-old, and it delivers content that's relevant to that child. So, no, thank you.
I do.
So just to do a couple other quick examples to make the larger point of look for the depth of an interface. Is it a superficial experience, or does it get a child in contact with something that's really important, playful and fun in the moment, but also educational in some larger sense? So here you have a board book. Anybody have a toddler at home? You know a stiff book like this is tried and true. It works wonderfully. We've taken that and then, again, expanded it in a particular way so that it comes to life. So there are photos, there are text. Kids are just learning that these squiggles. Yeah.
I find amazing animals and meet them one by one.
Okay. So it comes to life, and kids start to learn some basic literacy skills, that the text does something special, and I'll do one more. This is the lion that you can see on the screen. If I touch the lion,
Big and yellow and plays in the sun. The lion. Yes, that's the one. I'm the lion, and I like to have fun. Can you find yellow sun?
so yellow is an advanced concept for a certain age.
Great. The sun is yellow.
So you get the idea. You take a book and all the value of the physical book and make it interactive in a way that takes it further. This product, by the way, was nominated for Best Educational Toy of the Year this year, and the second product, Tag, won that award last year in the toy industry. So Tag is a very similar sort of concept, but with a more sophisticated sort of literature. So I won't show you the example, but the idea is that you touch it and you have game structures, the kind of interactivity that kids can get on screen and other ways that has them go further into the content and understanding the book itself from multiple perspectives, using multiple symbol systems, audio, and so forth. And it's all towards that purpose. We also have, this is something that Chris and I did, our companies, called Zippity. This is addressing the fundamental need for kids to get up off the couch and move around, in this case, while they're playing a high-quality educational game. Same basic idea of taking something tried and true and enhancing it further. So the last point I want to make is both about our learning path, because the products that you've seen are connected, which means that they record some of what the child is doing. And they take that data and present it back to parents on our learning path, so they get insights into what their kids are interested in, what they're doing, and then are in a better position to reinforce that learning back to the original face-to-face. We help parents become more like teachers if they want to, or just observe and appreciate what their kids know. So the circle around the girl there is meant to symbolize that those products are connected in a meaningful way. And a part of a vision that I would have for the rest of the discussion and the world is to think about other things in children's lives, other media. The gesture, touchscreen, multi-touch makes perfect sense along these lines, because what does a 1-year-old do but at a very young age but point? So it's very natural and intuitive. And it doesn't matter whether it's a stylus or a finger at some level if they're in contact with content that's quality and makes a difference. Same thing with other technologies and also schools and museums. That how can we connect those so there's a coherent kind of interactivity and experience for kids? And the last point is, if we're talking 2040, it would be a global sort of learning ecosystem is what I would hope. And the kids would learn from the wisdom across different cultures and from each other, because they have a big challenge in this century that we all know very well. So
Great.
That's my answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next we have Mirjana Spasojevic, and she's a senior principal scientist at the Nokia Research Center. And their research focuses on mobile user interfaces and user experience, which means that they study how families use technology to communicate with each other. And they've come up with Family Story Play, which is a research project and a concept